And welcome back to Troll Time. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King, and this is a show where we talk about sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. Today we'll be talking about a little bit of WNBA, Thiebaults, Mike and Eric out at Washington. We'll be recapping a few games of the NBA, and then we'll dive right into the college football season. Of course, I know I don't do this show by myself. Willie, what's going on with you, man?
Man, just again, just up watching these games all night. So trying to be a good NBA fan watching these games, man. So that's man. So staying up at night and I should be asleep, but yeah, that's it, man.
Just to dive right into it, man. WNBA news: Eric Thibault, head coach and general manager Mike Thibault, parted ways with the Washington Mystics yesterday. Just had a nice run. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, especially Mike at general manager, they made it to the postseason 8 times during his time there. Won a championship. Um, Eric not so lucky these last couple of seasons. In part two, just this latest season is just health, and not really having a full roster. But I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the departure of Eric and Mike, and then also that now opens up, I think, the door for 5 new head coaches in the W. Just get your quick thoughts on that.
Mike Tebow had a great run in Washington. Seems like man, health was always the issue there because with always having, not always, but dealing a lot with health issues as it related to, and I'm not making light of this at all, but Elena Deladon and multiple issues that she's had over the years. And obviously, when she played and she's available, you're talking about a top five, top 10 player in the world. And that's a big, big thing to have to replace. And that's virtually impossible for any franchise to have to any franchise to replace it. You're always having to plan around, will she be available, will she not, and is she going to play or is she isn't, or is she not. I feel like, man, I'm like that song that I used to watch in Tom and Jerry. Is you is, is you ain't my baby, right? So, but yeah, we had a great run, man. It's hard to win in this league, and take a team to the playoffs multiple times, get a ring as well. I felt like that the way that team was great. Ariel Powers was on that team doing work. So yeah, man, like had a good run. As we all know, when you work on the personnel side, which you and I both have had multiple experiences doing, inevitably, as great as the job is, as the challenge is, you're hired to get fired, and at some point, it's going to happen. Whether it's mutually parting ways, your team ages out. Even when your team is good, they age out. Now you need some new voices in. These are professionals. They get paid. Maybe they need to hear a new voice as well. So it's inevitable. It happens for everybody, man.
Yeah, now I mean, now the great thing about it for Washington is that they kind of left in great hands. You got a nice player in Aaliyah Edwards. Um, you got Shakira Austin looking like she's gonna bounce back, and if she can
Another
stay
health
healthy,
issue. That's
uh,
it. Exactly. Yeah.
and then they picked up Sika Cone, who played great for them, uh, during her stretch. And then also, they picked up an additional second round pick. They hold the sixth pick via trade. So I think, I mean, the question is going to be, man, with all the vacancies out there, I think I've been hearing like Katie Smith. Um, you
And
got
Stephanie White has options.
Yeah, that's the cream of the crop. But then
Yeah.
also the assistant coach Tyler March, assistant coach and the head of player development for the Aces. I think he's a hot commodity. And then Christy Tolliver has been
Right.
some names that I've been hearing. So it's going to be interesting just to see who gets a hold of these jobs. I think they got a solid young core of players. Emily Angster, she came on strong and late during the season. So
Man, good for her, yeah, because it didn't quite work out in Indiana. Good for her, man.
yeah, I think in their situation, I think they'll be in good shape. The other thing, teams were announced in the Unrivaled League, and if you're not familiar with that, it's a 3v3 league brought on by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. They have the names, man. The Laces Basketball Club, Mist Basketball Club, Phantom Basketball Club, Lunar Owls Basketball Club, Rose Basketball Club, and Vinyl Basketball Club. Not names that really jump out at you from a fanfare aspect of it, but the people who pay the dollars can control what the names are. So
Exactly.
that league is starting January, so we'll be on the lookout for that. The other thing that I want to do before we move on is that they now Washington and Dallas have to find general managers as well, not just coaches. Unless they bring in a coach that's going to do a dual role, and I think a lot of teams are probably going to get away from that.
A lot of teams are going away from that, yeah.
So that's another thing besides finding, a coach. They're going to have to find a general manager, so that's going to be very important too, as they move along. But yeah, just I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how that filters out. I mean, trying to find a general manager and coach before you got the upcoming expansion draft is something that we're gonna have to be, very mindful of because you'll find yourself in the same situation as Chicago to a
Right,
degree, and I'm sure nobody wants to run into that. Uh,
right.
so that's like I said, something to be on the lookout for as we come up for the expansion draft. Now,
And
move.
for the fans, so they know what you mean about Chicago. That was Teaspoon getting hired by the team, and then the general manager getting hired, and she was never the general manager's choice, which is probably a large reason why she only lasted 1 year in Chicago. I just wanted to give people context so they know what you're
No,
talking
no,
about.
no, no, no. It makes perfect sense because a lot of people don't realize that the owner, CEO, they pick general managers, and general managers pick coaches. So
Right, right.
yeah,
New York, Liberty, hire Teaspoon. You can tell that woman that Liberty energy courses through her veins. Hire her in some capacity, man.
I would.
Consultant, like, whatever, hire her.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't at all. They've been great, the former players,
Yeah.
in under that capacity. Moving on to the NBA. Last night, I caught a few games, man. I ain't gonna say I caught a lot of them or anything like that. Just the main games that came on. You had Milwaukee in Philadelphia on. Milwaukee defeated Philly 124-109. Dame Lillard dropped a 30 ball with 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Was 6 for 12 from the three. And then Giannis, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. That's actually the main reason why I tuned in for the game because the one thing about it, Giannis he's not going to miss a game. Like, I mean,
No.
if he can play, he's going to play. And then the late night game was Phoenix and the Clippers. And now the Clippers were opening up for the first time in the Intuit Dome. Looks like a phenomenal arena and experience. But
I can't wait to
unfortunately,
go to the crib and see it, man. I can't wait.
unfortunately, they walked away with an L. But it was a good game overall. I think Katie. Bradley Beal was healthy. Durant finished with 25 points, 7 rebounds. Was 2 for 5 from the three. Bradley Beal, 24 points, 4 for 6 from three. Devin Booker, played 32 minutes, only took 9 shots. I mean, I think this is some new balance that they're going to be working on with Phoenix now that they have Tyus Jones, which is I think they have a PG now. Like I think that's going to be something interesting to watch. He had 11 points and 8 assists. I think that's going to bring more balance, and I think it's going to be a more of like whoever's on that night, they probably going to get fed the rocking, and everybody else will play background. I think it's a nice system for them. They got pretty good play off the bench from Grayson Allen and Plumlee, Mason Plumlee. So, you happen to catch any games last night?
Yeah, man. I could watch. Of course, I watch Phoenix because for everybody that doesn't know, if you just tuning in, I worked in scouting and player personnel for the Phoenix Suns, and my first draft pick was Devin Booker. So this is a team that I'll always have. And then, of course, in my days working in basketball at Nike, being in close proximity, talking with Kevin Durant. And then, of course, I was born in St. Louis. I grew up in California, born in St. Louis. I love to see St. Louis people do well. Hashtag 314 stand up. Bradley Beal doing his thing. Jason Tatum as well, another St. Louis guy. I like to see the St. Louis guys do well. So I do have some ties in Phoenix because of that. And then, of course, I wanted to see that new arena at the crib in LA. And so, yeah, I watched that game, and man, it's so crazy because watching Kevin Durant, man, Kevin Durant will be able to score when he's 70, man. Like, how skilled this dude is, and how when he hit that fall away, how he was basically being double. And when he's falling away with a high release, young people get a high release, man. Can't block it. You can't defend it. You just got to hope that he's missing, man. So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Phoenix does. One thing I like to say too, man, both on the show, one of the things that I say a lot on all my platforms is hashtag point guard life. Your boy was a point guard. My brother Ivan was a point guard as well. So we love point guards. Shout out to Lonzo Ball, another dude from the crib, man. Lonzo Ball is playing in the NBA. So again, I know we talked about this yesterday with Deshaun Watson. If y'all didn't check it, go check our NFL show. When we talk about how people pocket hustle, count these guys, they'll count their money, and then they'll also say, man, these guys get paid X amount of dollars. They don't really care. If I were getting paid that much, I would just go home. Or these guys don't really care. They sit out games. They don't care. Lonzo Ball, his money was guaranteed. Lonzo Ball could have sat at home and collected his money. Lonzo Ball hadn't played in 2 years, and the dude fought his way back. And Lonzo Ball played last night and scored, made a three last night. Shout out to Lonzo Ball, man. Hashtag point guard life.
Nah, I'm a big ball fan, man, especially the Melo, man. I want to talk about just real quick about the Golden State Warriors because I like Steph too, man. And I don't consider him a point guard. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, in the modern day era, yeah, he's a point guard, but traditionally he's a scoring guard. So
Right.
they defeated the Portland Trail Blazers 139 to 104. Man, they dropped 41 points in the second quarter and 40 points. With 41 points in the second quarter, 37 points in the third, and 40 in the fourth. Man, they just kept it coming, man. Wiggins, not Wiggins, but Buddy Hield led them in scoring off the bench with 22 points. They shot 20 for 48 from three. Curry only had 17. Wiggins with 20. But Curry, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 rebound away from a triple-double. I like the style of play for Golden State, so I always check out for them. Scoot Henderson, he had 22 points off the bench from Portland. That's pretty much the only games I paid attention to. Got a hold of a little bit of Ja Morant. He closed out the Jazz. They won 126 to 124. He finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists on 7 of 12 shooting. One of the most electrifying players in the NBA. Desmond Bain, he finished with 24 points and 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And I like how he plays, a strong built guard. And then Santi Aldemar, he had 27 points. Played really well. Shot 5 for 10 from the three. Um, but marketing, he went to work, man. 35 points, 9 rebounds. As good as advertised. Kind of was hoping he went anywhere but the Jazz, but I guess it is what it is. But definitely one of the best young players in the NBA. Aside from that, really didn't too many games catch my eye. I think Banchero, he had a nice game for Orlando last night with 33 points and 11 rebounds. But aside from that, not too many teams catching my interest early. As we mentioned, LaMelo Ball, the Hornets defeated another young team in the Rockets, 110-105. LaMelo finished with 34 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists. Was 10 for 20 from the field. But the one thing I like, he gets to the free throw line. 10 for 10 from the free throw line. He's constantly in attack mode. Trey Mann, he finished with 24 points off the bench. I've seen a lot of people probably having him as a fan favorite for sixth man of the year for them, the way he can provide scoring coming off the bench. He was 4 for 10 from 3. But any other games catch your eye, Willie, before we move on to college football?
Man, I was watching a lot of the games, but I'll say this, man. We had some young stars, young players that are continuing to make their way in the league and trying to make their impact. And of course, they all have different roles. And we saw some injuries yesterday. Brandon Miller, DeJounte Murray, and James Wiseman, man. So I'm hoping for the best for those young guys for sure, man.
Okay. No. Moving along to college football. Around here, we rock with those Colorado Buffaloes. We with Prime, but just to open it up, Oregon blanked Purdue 35-0, and this is week 8 that we recapping for college football. You have BYU still undefeated as they defeated Oklahoma State 38-35. One of the key matchups that I'm sure everybody tuned into was Georgia and Texas. And man, Georgia, man, the defense was just off the chain, man. Jalen Walker was really huge in leading that defensive surge for Georgia. They blanked them in the first half. It was 23-0 in the first half. Then Texas, they scored 15 unanswered. And that was all they would score for the rest of the game. Georgia would end up scoring a touchdown in the fourth, but they defeated Texas 30-15. Carson Beck threw for 175, 3 picks, and that just lets you know, like, he didn't have a great game at all. But the defense came to play, and like I said, we give stars due criticism, but it's a team game at the end of the day. And when you got a great defense like Georgia, you'll always find yourself in the game. Quinn Ewers, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. Arch Manning came in for a hot second, but even then, the defense was all over him as well. But Georgia bouncing back nice, and now they sit at 6-1. And Texas falls to 6-1 as they were the number 1 team in the country at the time. Your thoughts, Willie?
Like you said, Georgia's defense, man, and this was good because we really hadn't seen Texas tested this year. We really hadn't seen really play. So now they're about to get into the meat of the SEC schedule, and we're going to see what they're made of. They play Vanderbilt this week, and we saw Vanderbilt upset Alabama when Alabama was number 1 in the country. And had Georgia won, Vanderbilt would have had another chance to play a number 1 team in the country. But nonetheless, Texas better not sleep on Vanderbilt because we saw what happened with Alabama. And the other thing, man, like we were saying about Georgia's defense, 7 sacks, 10 tackles for losses. So they put all sorts of pressure. And we know this virtually any quarterback in the world, when you heat them up a little bit, they become different guys. And Georgia looks hungry. Georgia looks ready. Man, we're about to get into the prime time of the SEC schedule. This is why schools like Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC, because of the revenue opportunities that it represents when you have these prime time matchups. It's why Clemson and Florida State are fighting with the ACC, because they want in the SEC and the SEC don't want them. So dating advice: date who wants to be with you. uh, so so with that being said, man, I'm very much looking forward to seeing this, man. It's funny too, because as I said, your boy was born in St. Louis, so I root for the Missouri Tigers. Heartbreaking, disappointing. It wasn't even heartbreaking. They got the brakes beat off their asses at Texas A&M, and then they came back, beat Auburn. They got Alabama this week, and so as they try to establish their legitimacy on the national scene and try to stay in the conversation for the college football playoff, that's another game I want to see.
Nah, no doubt. And then Miami, I'm not a Miami Hurricane fan, but I like Cam Ward.
Of course.
I caught a little bit of that game at the end. Cam Ward went to work, man. 319 yards, 4 touchdowns. They escape out of Louisville with a 52-45 win. Miami is now 7-0, man. Looking like the Canes from the 90s, man, and the early 2000s too. Like I think the Canes, man, is restored, man. The Cam Ward is every bit as good as advertised, and that defense playing okay. You give up 45 points to Louisville, which is not a good thing, but I think as long as you got Cam Ward under center, you're in great shape. The next big game, Alabama and Tennessee. And man, oh man, the board is going through it this year, man. Tennessee upsets Alabama 24-17, and the tide is not rolling, man, at all. Jalen Milroe was 25 for 45, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Dylan Sampson, man, for Tennessee, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think if any running back gets those numbers against Alabama, that probably means that their team probably won.
Yep.
Because I think Alabama normally they don't give up rushing yards like that. But a great game to say the least. Did you happen to catch that game, Willie?
I did, man. And the other thing, to your point, when we saw Alabama when they're at their best, and the Alabama faithful are not happy right now. All you got to do is just listen to any talk show that talks about SEC football, and if they give somebody from Alabama a platform or an opportunity to talk, they put the mic in their face. Oh my gosh, man. Listening to these people talk about Alabama football, it is highly, highly entertaining. The thing about Alabama football too, and you can say this about any team, but you could definitely say it about them. When they are at their best, they're doing 2 things. One of the things that you just alluded to was stopping the run on defense. The second thing that they can do, run the ball. What they haven't been doing this year effectively is running the ball. Their best offensive plays are Jalen Milroe running the ball, Jalen Milroe taking a deep shot down the field, hitting Ryan Williams. They are not running the ball. Look at the running backs in the NFL that came from Alabama, and that tells you how much they ran the ball. You're not hearing a lot of talk about Alabama running backs on the national scene this year, and that's telling, and that's part of the reason why they're in the position that they're in right now. Hey, don't run it this week. Go ahead, man. Let Missouri win. Y'all can run the ball next week.
Now getting to our Buffaloes, man. It was an impressive win to me. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
34-7 win over Arizona. A lot of people don't have high expectations for Colorado. So to me, anytime they get a dub, I'm proud. I'm happy about it. Shador, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They got it done on the ground by committee between Augusta and Offerdahl and Hayden. Like everybody chipped in. LeJontay Wester, 127 yards. Receiving. I was expecting a little bit more fight from Arizona, but man, Colorado came out ready to play. Man, it was up 28-7 at half, and pretty much cruised the rest of the game. But only another win away from a bowl game, man. So, and I think I seen him joking like Prime, saying he want to get Peggy to a bowl game, but not just any bowl game. He want to get her to a nice bowl game. But man, realistically, I'm gonna let you chime in on the game, but they still got some tough games ahead. But I could see them in a pretty good spot playing in a good bowl game. I mean, unless they shock the world and find a way to sneak into the playoffs, which is a long shot. But I can see them making a good bowl game. What you think, A. Willie?
I can, man. I think they learned from last year. At this point last year, they were also 4-2. And then they had those games down the stretch where they had leads and gave them up down the stretch. This is a team that, for so far, what we're seeing is when they have a team down, they pound them out. That's what I'd like to see instead of, which is different from last year. It seems like they've learned. Seems like they've adapted. They're having more balance running the ball, playing better defense. We're going to get a full, healthy diet of Travis Hunter this week. So I'm very much looking forward to that, man, because last couple of weeks he's been limited by injury. Maybe that's a good thing. So he's not playing every single snap. So he could be a little more fresher. So with that being said, man, I'm very much looking forward to this, man. And I hope they keep this momentum going. Like you said, a bowl game for them, where this program was, a bowl game is a huge win. And if you look at degree of difficulty, they make it to a bowl game. You got to say Coach Prime is the coach of the year. They make it to the playoffs, it's no argument. He is coach of the year, man. But like you said, they got some tough games coming because the Big 12 is no joke. So they got some tough games coming, man. I'm looking forward to seeing them do their thing.
Yeah, now just to add note to that, Shador on the year, he's thrown for almost 2,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and then just looking ahead on the schedule, they got Cincinnati coming up, which is, I think, it could go either way. I of course I'm rocking with the bus, but just if that.
Hold up, man. You from Ohio?
What that mean? I ain't never. Hey, the only time I rooted for Cincinnati is when Kenyon Martin and Nick Van Exel was in a Bearcat jersey. But other than that, football, non-existent for me. I'm Buckeyes all the way. But they got Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. I honestly could see them winning 3 out of those last 5 games. If they're lucky, 4. But this is new territory for them at this point. Trying to close out on a winning note. But as you said, they got over the hump. They was 4-2 the year before, but they look good. To me, Shador using his feet a little bit more. They're not really forcing the pass as much, which is I think is good to keep the defense honest. They've been doing it for that team to get a win with Travis Hunter not playing is big because he is a huge part of the team on both sides of the football. So, like I said, I like to see them get at least 3 out of these last 5. Like I said, if not 4 or 1. I know the Utah game, but luckily, a lot of these games, they got Texas Tech on the road, Kansas on the road. Then you got Oklahoma State at home and Cincinnati at home and Utah at home. So hopefully there's some advantage to that. Now, the Cincinnati game, the reason why I call it a toss-up because it's a 10:15 p.m. game. And Hey, and I know how Prime hates those late games. And me as a coach, I used to hate late games too because it's too much time in between the day for players to think and everything. I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, we of course we always keep our eyes on the Buffs, man. Now, one particular topic that I wanted to bring up, man. And we probably gonna keep a nice watch on Ashton Genty, running back for Boise State. Um, he is a dog, man. Like at right now, Boise State is 5-1. He has almost 1,300 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns, with a ton of games left to play. He's on the verge of maybe shattering the rushing record. But we'll see. We'll pay close attention to it. But definitely want to keep an eye on him. I know it was a big thing about him and Travis. Who was the best player in college football. I think they both doing their thing on teams that's not expected to do a whole lot.
Right.
To that instance, but he's a dynamic running back. They play UNLV.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I think it's at UNLV. UNLV is 6-1. Both undefeated in the conference, so it's gonna be. I'm gonna be tuned in
Absolutely.
to that game. Actually, a friend of mine, Ricky White, the third, his son is on. Well, Ricky White is the dad, but the third, he's on that team. He's leading them in receiving. With 46 receptions, 614 yards, 9 touchdowns. He was previously at Michigan State before he went to UNLV, but that would be something to keep an eye on. But your thoughts about Ashton Genty?
Man, when you are doing the things that you do when everybody knows you're about to get the ball and teams are stacking the box against you and you still get it done, that means you are getting it done. So yeah, man, like I'm very excited to watch him. I watched him last week. I watched Boise last week so I could watch him go over 200 again. And people said he had a rather pedestrian game, and he was over 200, and which is crazy. But yeah, I'm very tuned in to watch them and UNLV because Hodge Malik Williams starting at quarterback, taking over with the NIL fiasco. Yet UNLV continues to roll. This game here is not only big for Ashton Genty's Heisman hopefuls campaign. This is also big when you start looking at one of those 12 spots in the CFP. So this is a big, big, big game in the Mountain West, man.
No doubt. And before we get out of here, I just want to give just some upcoming games in college football. Of course, later tonight you got Syracuse and Pittsburgh on ESPN at 7:30. I might tap in and watch that. As we mentioned, you got UNLV, Boise State, Friday at 10:30 on CBS Sports Network. I'm going to be locked in, of course, Saturday, 12 o'clock on Fox, Ohio State and Nebraska. I may have to leave a little early. My brother got an old timers game that's like an hour away.
Man, hold up. Let's talk about this because you posted about this old timers game.
Hey man,
as much as we love basketball, man, what you mean you ain't playing no more?
No, I want to be. It pays no. When you were younger and you got hurt, it was cool. But as you get older and get hurt, no. I just want to be able to walk, exercise, and then exercise, if you know what I mean. That's about it.
All about winning on this show. We winning.
But no, Nebraska and Ohio State, 12 p.m. on Fox. Not too many games jumped out at me this week, except you got Missouri and Alabama, 3:30 on ABC.
Hey, let's go Tigers.
Yeah. Now ABC will be rocking with the ranked games because Missouri 21, Alabama 15, and boy oh boy, Alabama cannot afford it. Man, if they lose this game,
yes, they can. What you talking about?
hey, if they lose this game, man, he might get fired mid-season. Like,
Hey, they go sure about that at halftime. Hey, you got to go, man.
I'm telling you. Then you got Texas at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's cracked the top 25. Texas ranked 5th, Vanderbilt 25. That's 4:15 on SEC Network. SEC Network. Florida State, Miami, not the typical rivalry game that it used to be, but I mean it's still Florida State, Miami. I'm thinking Miami probably gonna put a hurting on them. You got Kansas and Kansas State this week, and then the other game, like ABC is rocking with nothing but ranked games. You got LSU number 8 and Texas A&M at 14. So we'll definitely be recapping those games next week. Hey Willie, before we get out of here, as I always ask you, is there anything you want to get off your chest?
Man, that you ain't want to talk about my Trojans either, man.
hey, man, it's your show too.
Man, we don't need to talk about them, man. We 3-4, man. We don't need to talk about them.
Hey, all your teams are struggling right now, man.
They are. So you know the Trojans I'm really rocking with, though. What up, Juju and Kiki? What up?
Hey, say that for the hoops when we get into it. Just my last words, man. Just keep rocking with us. Like I said, we've separated NFL and college football, so we're gonna talk about those separate. And sprinkle in other news along with that, but just a great time. This is actually the fun time for sports because there won't be a day that you can't watch anything. You got NFL, NCAA football, you got the NBA, you got college basketball right around the corner, you got baseball coming to it, like hockey just started. Like you got everything going on now.
As you say that, can I just say this real quick? Your boy I got to tell the Troll Time community this. Of college volleyball, women's college volleyball is the league. What up, Nebraska?
No surprises there, but as I always say, if you don't remember anything, remember I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch us on the next episode.
Right on.